The first thing is identify what specific trait, physical trait, or action or inaction do you perceive this individual displaying or demonstrating that you admire most or despise most? And really narrow it down. Make sure it's not hearsay. Make sure it's not vague generalities. Make sure it's not something about how you felt, but it's actually their actions. Make sure it's not transcendental because there's no polarization and judgment there. And then once you identify what the trait, action, inaction is, then you go inside yourself and you go, okay, John, go to a moment where and when you perceive yourself displaying or demonstrating the same specific trait, action, inaction that you admired or despised in them inside yourself. And where are you when you do it? When are you when you do it? So hold yourself accountably so you activate an episodic memory. And then exactly who you're doing it to and who is perceiving you doing that. So you can lock in with reflective awareness and also transparency where you do it so you can't deny it. When you lock that in and you do it again and again and again until the quantity and the quality of what you see in them you own 100% with certainty, you now have reflective awareness and realize that who am I to judge them? I'm doing the same thing. It was Romans 2:1 that basically said in the New Testament, it said, beware of judging because the thing you judge in them is you do the same things. And I've been doing that and going through reflective awareness like that for many, many years. And I have yet to find somebody that couldn't find that behavior that they judge. Because we only judge things on the outside that represent parts of the inside that we haven't loved.
Can you speak into how it's self-judgment really? Because when, we could bring a couple examples. If somebody feels like they admire how somebody's generous or how somebody's creative and they don't feel like they see that. So you're saying have the reflective awareness to where you can see where in the past that you have, where and when in time you've demonstrated that same quality. And that can show you how you do have that within you. But I feel like when it comes to judgment, it's tricky because it's often happening in an unconscious state.
Well, there is no judgment without unconsciousness.
Right.
Can't. If you're fully conscious, there's nothing but love.
Mm.
You have to be blind and ignorant and unconscious of some part of yourself in order to even have a button to be judging.
So would you say then all judgment is rooted in self-judgment to a degree if life is a mirror?
They're inseparable. We only have resentment on something on the outside that represents something we feel ashamed of on the inside that we've dissociated from and gone into a cover-up called pride in order to not deny it. And then they're the one we're judging and pointing our finger at, got three back at ourselves to make us realize that we're judging ourselves, but we're projecting it onto them with a false attribution bias and a false causality. We blame them for what we're actually feeling. When we finally own that and then find the benefits of what they're doing and the benefits that we've done it and clear our shame, we don't have any resentment to them. I've had people that have been resentful to people, gone in, identified where they've done the same thing to the same degree, then gone in and find out how it served people in the process. And they went over there and hugged the individual when they're done. They didn't even have to go through and find the benefits of the trait because it's just a reflection of themselves.
How do you navigate when people feel grief in relation to how they have been judgmental or something that they've done? How do you help them collapse that?
Well, if they have a fantasy that they're going to be beyond judgment and they're not going to grow and they're not going to have judgment, well, then that's their delusion. And anytime you compare your current reality to a fantasy and a delusion, you're going to beat yourself up because you're having an expectation that you're not going to do that. But we all are going to do that because that's what lets us know what we haven't loved. And it gives us another opportunity to love some more. So we're going to grow. If we think that we're beyond that and don't have that, then that's another pride that we just got trapped in and we're not doing it at that moment.
Right.
I went through the Oxford English Dictionary 39, almost 40 years ago, because I realized that what I was seeing in other people and what I was saying to them, and particularly emphasizing, was for me as much as them. So I decided to do a preemptive strike by going into the Oxford Dictionary, and I went through and I underlined every possible human behavioral trait that I found, 4,628 individual traits. And I went and underlined it, and then I went outside on the margins and I thought of who is it that I know that is the most extreme example of that behavior. And I wrote their initial. And then I started doing the exercise. Now, John, go to a moment where and when you perceive yourself displaying or demonstrating that trait until I see that it's 100% equal to all those people that I thought were extreme. And I went and owned all 4,628 traits. And I realized that no matter what you say about me, it's true. I'm nice, I'm mean, I'm kind, I'm cruel. I'm honest, I'm dishonest, I'm all the above. I'm judging, I'm non-judging. And then I realized that if I meet somebody that has similar values, they'll call me determined and perseverant and focused and dedicated. If I meet somebody with dissimilar values, they'll see me pig-headed, rigid, and stuck and unwilling to alter. the same behavior. So I'm all those based on the perceptions of people around the world. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with all those perceptions. So when you own all those traits, you realize that everybody's just projecting their own illusions onto you. And all of them are valuable and all of them are useful.